Alrighty, Ords. What you got for us? Why are we sitting here when we could be fishing? It's a calm day. You said we're going out. Got the rods? See? Ready.
Always.
Got the rods.
If we get this done really quickly, get out fishing.
Alright, hit me with it. Let's go, come on.
Alright, so through social media accounts, etc., we constantly get asked the same questions.
I know I'm a stud muffin. I know it. Yep.
It hasn't come up yet, but if by chance at some stage it does, we will let you know.
Theo will help with that.
So we thought if I can nail Elle down this morning to do this before he goes fishing, then we'll get some of those questions that you actually need answered.
Come on, hit me with it. Alright, I want the hard one straight away.
Okay, where did it all start?
Alright, so always fished all my life, right? So as a kid, went fishing, loved it. And then I still remember with the old man sitting there one day and he said, oh, what are you going to do and all that? And at school they're going, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be well, no, they didn't say I was going to be a doctor, did they? They just said, what are you going to do? And scratched their head. And I said, I'm going fishing. And they're going, no, fishing, commercial fishing. I went, no, I'm just going fishing. I don't care what it is. Whatever I do, I'm going to make it sure my job is fishing. And they went, no, can't do that. You've got to go to school, then go to uni, then get a job, then work really hard at that job, and then in your spare time you're going fishing. You know, I won't say the exact words I said because I got detention that day for that, but I didn't. And I said, no, I'm going to make my job from fishing. And it started out, I remember the old man said, rightio, originally I did guiding for a while, and it was really cool, but I didn't like, some of the people we took out just didn't appreciate, you know, all this awesome environment. And they're like, oh, you know, I want more fish, I want this, I'm paying for that. I said, right, that's it, never doing that again. So then I went and worked in the tackle industry, and I started at Myer Sports, and then Ray's Outdoors I did originally, and then I went across to Myer Sports, and then ended up working for the Complete Angler when Jim Allen owned it in the early days. And I started taking photos then because a guy told me down at Bermagui years ago, because we used to drive from Melbourne all the way up to Bermagui on the south coast of New South Wales every weekend to go marlin fishing. And this bloke, we pulled in, we got 2 marlin. And in those days, no one caught marlin. We pulled in at the boat ramp, and this bloke's there like, you know, how'd you go? Did you catch any? I went, yeah, we got 2. He goes, oh, where are they? I went, well, let them go. And he goes, no, he didn't catch them. I went, right, that's it, and get your camera. And that's how I started taking photos.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that was it. And I still remember that motivation going, what do you mean we didn't catch them? We caught 2 marlin. We just let them go. Couldn't kill them. They're too beautiful to kill.
All right, so...
That's the very beginning. Do you want me to keep going, or you want to go next?
I'll ask this simply because some of these questions will overlap, but Elle's not got any idea of what I'm asking, so you just talk and we'll just listen.
My number will be displayed at the bottom of the screen later on for you, all you lovely ladies out there. Although I think my skewer is almost all male actually now. One female.
All right. Always asked, did you have a career plan, or have things just evolved over time? Did you
that's
see
a good
where
one.
You were heading, or
always? So always, whatever everyone said, oh, you know, that you got to go. Like I was saying, got to go to uni and stuff. I said, I'm going fishing. I don't care how I do it. I'm going fishing. And as I said, I went and did uni, and I started at what was I doing? Marketing, following in Dad's footsteps. And halfway through, I got a job offer to go to Fiji and set up a fishing operation. And I went back to him and said, look, this is a job, this is what I'm doing. Is this all cool if I go? And in those days at university, or TAFE or whatever it is, they said, oh, you have to, it's attendance. So if you don't have the attendance, so 10% attendance, if you don't have that, you can't pass. So I went, stuff it. Went to Fiji and never looked back.
Did you? So you never at any point thought, should I or shouldn't I? You just went.
Just went. No, never any question. I said, stuff it. I went. And the worst thing, I was actually doing well.
All those parents with teenagers out there trying to keep them in TAFE, make sure they are not watching this.
No motivation from me there. And you know the funny thing? That's when I started the guiding, was over there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it did.
That was what spurred it on. So I worked over on Mana Island, which is in the near Treasure and Castaway and all that over in, and set up, went and caught my first blue marlin, all those sort of things over there, and helped try and set up to get fishing up and firing. And yeah, and that made me come back and go, and I started Wild Country Adventures when I came back, and that was earth and ocean, because I love hunting as well, obviously. And we got trying to get people to go fishing, so I set up fishing charters and then taking people out in the bush so they could see the salt of the earth, so to speak.
Yeah, right. So it did evolve as well as you knew roughly what plane.
Well, I knew what it was, so I suppose in that way, yeah. So I started with going, rightio, I'm going to try guiding. And as I said, like, I'm not really that keen on it. So then the next one across from that was when I worked in the tackle industry. And at the same time, I'd start taking those photos because we're catching all these awesome fish. And you're like, man, I want to show people what we're catching, particularly like that bloke really motivated. I know it sounds silly, but he really motivated us to go and take photos. Yeah. And so I got a camera and started taking photos. Now, in those days, do you know what a camera was? You had to do stills and stuff like that. It was all, sorry, you had to do stills. So I just get distracted with the boat driving around. So in those days, you had to do it where, with your photos, it's all slide film. None of this digital stuff. So you took the photo and you had no,
age now.
I know, and you had no idea what it was. That until it came out later on. That was true photography. I know everyone, all the young ones will crack the sads, but that was dark rooming, and I had to go into the labs and I'd sit there and I'd get the strip out and it'd be looking at it like a little light, looking at them all, and that
must have been a lot of heartbreaking moments because it wasn't quite in focus. I mean, now we've got it so easy and we can look through the digital, but there must have been times when you just look at a
it's a totally different world now. Like, I'd look at it. So my most famous shot I ever took then was, look at that. See, I told you there was a boat coming.
He did very kindly stop before he came roaring past us and has flicked around the back, but we're still getting hit by his bow.
But when I did it, I got a photo of a guy getting speared by a marlin up the clacker on the back of the boat off Sydney, and up the clacker is on the bum for Australian. Doug Olander, who's the editor, or was the editor for Sport Fishing Mag back in the old days of magazines, he was saying that, he sent me a thing going, I need photos of, dangers at sea, those real major. So I just got a photo of a bloke getting speared up the clacker, and he's
lost in interpretation.
Sent back, I'm not sure what that means. So I'd taken a scan of it, sent it to him, and he goes, yeah, I was pretty close on that one. So yeah, but I never knew until I got to the lab. And so when I was doing all the overseas trips, you couldn't even tell whether your photos were working or not. And I did underwater in those days as well, but it was such a struggle that you just, you're out by, underwater's so finicky that you couldn't fix anything. So if you did it and you're out by, a minuscule, everything was stuffed.
Oh, that's what I mean by heartbreaking moments, for sure. All right, so you've spoken of a couple of them, a couple of key pivotal moments, but who do you remember as sort of the key figures that inspired you along the way? Are there a few that jump out?
I reckon in the early days, it was Harry Butler.
Yeah.
So that most kids won't even remember Harry Butler, but like, he was the Aussie version of David Attenborough. And the best part was, he was like an environmentalist, and he's, on the ABC, and he's out in the middle of the bush one day and he goes, you might wonder why I'm carrying a rifle, because I'm shooting feral cats. I went, you're a true environmentalist, you're a proper one. So he was probably the early days. Obviously David Attenborough's, for me, fishing, it's funny how fishing changed. It started out catching fish, which now with the younger generation, are really just like, got to go and get the fish, and but for him, for me, it's evolved now to where it's all about getting the shots.
Yeah.
Like, it's changed totally, where I don't care if I don't catch a fish. And you get pressure on social where these kids are going, oh, so you didn't catch one today? And you go, no, but I had this striped marlin swim up the back of the boat, sitting there right beside the boat, turned on its sides, look at me. I'm going, best thing I've ever seen. They're like, yeah, but you only caught two. I'm like, yeah, but I've done my numbers days. If I want to be good at my job, catching numbers normally doesn't actually help me. I want one fish that I get the shots out of the content, and that's the key. Yeah,
and everybody else that's on board appreciates the fact that you don't try and jump on the rod all the time, but instead you're pushing everybody in the back to make sure they get on the rod.
Get on that rod and wind it up.
So it's a constant fight on board the deck for everybody else to take.
Do you know every boat you go on, everyone goes, so, man, how many fish do you get to wind up? I don't want to wind them up. Yeah. We had this, what was it, last year, when we were out and doing the tuna, we had a triple on, and we just caught two big ones, big bluefin, and Phil Malaro goes, he caught one about 90 kilos or so. He's on his next run. He goes, oh, Al, do you want it? And I'm like, fuck no, pun the pun, but that's exactly what I said. You're not going to believe this. We just started, look at this, right, a triple. The guys, we put the gear back out, and everything went off again, and now we've got it on a bloody triple. Can you believe it? Look at it. The guys are going off.
He's going ballistic.
Oh, now who wants the other harness out of you two?
This thing's taken 300 metre line.
Yeah, that's all right.
Give Phil the harness.
And I went, no, I'm not winding it up. You can do it. He said, look at his face going, oh, that's not quite what I had planned yet.
All right. So, also through your childhood and adulthood, there must have been people around you that mentored or encouraged you to pursue your dreams, not just in fishing, but both in life and business. Can you tell us a few about them? And I'm thinking of a little old lady who was very dear to you, who took you fishing up here in Sydney.
Oh, Gran.
Yeah.
The big G.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't think she was that happy with it. First time I ever came to Sydney because a Mexican, Victorian originally, and went up. We're there on the harbour. She's got this beautiful house there, and I'm like, I just want to go fishing off the pier. She wanted to go and see all the sights. All I wanted to do was go fishing. So,
and she still did it. Whereas a lot of people would say, "No, come on, we've got to go and do something else." So she was pivotal in supporting you.
You know what's interesting there? My grandfather was a photographer in World War II, like that spy stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, sneaking around the pilot, taking photos of German camps or whatever they were. So
anything but covert.
No,
you're totally over.
I'll be taking the photos. I'll go, "Hey, you little bastards."
All right. Anybody else that comes to mind other than
well, if you're talking, I mean, obviously Mum and Dad have played a massive role. Like Dad took us out and just introduced us to the great outdoors and taught us that fundamental rule, and that if you kill it, you eat it. And that's the one thing I've run by all my life. And in recent times, and we'll go through it, I'm sure, with all the trolls on social and stuff. If you kill a fish or kill anything, eat it. The only exception to that rule is feral cats. Get rid of those bastards. They're killing our beautiful birds.
Yeah.
But everything else, even pigs. So some people go, "Oh, we don't eat pigs." We shoot them down in the crops. They're bloody beautiful, dude. But fish, why would you kill a fish, hang it up, and then dump it? Yep. How can that be legal? Oh, there'll be a few people cracking the stands now. We're allowed to do it. It's our right.
Yeah, but it's that
Try not to
ideology that you...
Yeah, and they're allowed to do it.
Underpins everything that you do. Yeah.
And it's so for Dad, that one rule, and it's been so important. And now I'm passing on to the kids that we go fishing, and Coops is into his spear fishing at the moment. Tom shot his first deer a while ago. Those sort of things. But then they carry it out and they cut it up and then we eat it. Yep. And to me, it's really important now that we minimise our impact on the environment, because let's face it, we're getting bloody good. All the electronics on a boat. You don't have to be good to catch a lot of fish anymore.
It's a theme that may come up a couple of times, so let's move on.
Oh, right. Okay, sorry.
Okay, knowing as I do, I know that there's been a lot of positive voices supporting you, but what about negative voices that have turned you into the right direction, so that kids out there...
Well, hang on, no, we've still forgotten. I've just got more people to thank.
Oh, well, come on then. Get on, we'll carry on with the positive ones for the time.
So, all right. So, Justin Kelly, we're doing work, and I suppose we should go back to how my job evolved. So when I went into photography, I decided to start writing for the magazines, and I remember them all going, "That's not a job, just do it as a part-time casual thing." And how I got it to work in magazines was that any trip I did, so say Africa or Midway Atoll or any of these amazing places I went to, is I went not to fish, I went to get as much content as I could. So all the photos, you do different stories out of it. So use Midway Atoll, which is a little tiny island, the northern end of the Hawaiian chain, which Battle Midway. It's been locked up 50 years. Somehow got the gig, flew over to Hawaii, went in there and fished this amazing place where we were catching like 40 and 50 kilo GTs, but we're trolling striped tuna, skipping striped tuna for them. This is before it became trendy. And in those days, all the top fishers that are now over in Central America and South America, all the big guns, we're all fishing together over there. But I digress. Is that what happened was, I know I just keep going off. You look at you just like you're not answering the bloody question.
No, keep going.
You're going off there. And
this could be a 2-part episode.
Yeah, this is an hour, right? Yeah, 2 hours. And what happened was that you go and take all the GT photos, you do them, and you do different styles. So you do close-ups, you do wide, you do action shots, and then when you come back, you compile and go, okay, that's a story on GT fishing for sport fishing in the US. Mm-hmm. This is for modern fishing in Australia. This one's for Voyager to Pêche, France. This is for ski and fish, or fish and ski boat down in South Africa and New Zealand fishing. So you'd write, but you take so many photos, everyone gets separate stuff, because you can't send the same stuff. I remember one idiot sold the same photos to all the magazines and they all put them on the cover, and I still remember going into a newsagent and here's literally the same shot on 3 covers, and that's really important. So I built that up over time, and quickly, and that business really exploded from at the start where you're doing a couple of local magazines, then you're building and building. By the end, I was doing 50 titles around the world and I could not get enough content. Like I was writing non-stop, just punching out more and more stuff. Then I started doing books and, then the newspapers started and, that side of the business, that was when it really boomed for us. I mean, obviously now it's changed. But the key was producing content that people liked.
And so just bringing you back to, how does that come back to Justin Kelly?
Oh, so Justin Kelly was one of my mates that we fished with, and he has been instrumental in playing a role in introducing us to a lot of people. Bill Woods was the first one when I started TV, showed me how to present on camera. So Bill used to do Channel 10 in the old days.
Everybody had known Bill Woods.
I don't know, some people are. There's people around the world to be going, who the hell's that? And then, obviously Justin, but then also all my mates that have played such a big role in it, that have always been supporters over the years, from, Jim to bloody, Tom and all those guys, and the family as well, and even Stu. Stu's not one for being on camera or doing any of that stuff, or even taking your photo. Hurry up and get your photo, I want to cut it up, But all those people, I've got such an awesome network of friends and I suppose to say business associates as well. But the one thing, and this is for all those guys that wanted to do this business, if you're going to screw people, it's going to come back to bite you in the bum. So these guys that are always in it for a quick dollar, get what they can off everyone else and then screw them and go, you never last. And you'll see a lot of them have come and gone. And I reckon the biggest thing there is they're not genuinely passionate about fishing. Like, look at this. I'm doing this. I'm like, God, there's mullet jumping over there. I reckon a couple of flatties there.
It's the longest I've seen you looking towards any.
I looked over there before the camera. I'm like, oh, look at those mullet jumping. Oh, I'm looking at the camera.
Rightio. Let's get it back on track. Okay. So, you've mentioned some of the positive voices that reinforce, but we all know that there's always a negative voice out there, but that impact's not always negative. Quite often they can turn you into a direction and make you steer into a positive direction. Can you think of any moments, not necessarily the people, but can you think of something where you've had negative feedback and it spurred you towards a much better positive outcome?
Oh, look, there's always, now with social media, trolls are the biggest group on earth. And what trolls are is they're generally people that they're just jealous. That's all it is. And they don't, if you don't have their exact view, they get really angry about it. They're pissed off because you've got the best job on earth. And you know what? Anyone can have this job. You've just got to get off your ass and make it happen.
So the positive aspect of trolling is that it makes you define all the time why you do what you do, because
no. You get a red wine at night and sit there and laugh at some of the stupidity. The best one is the Mako attack. Like that, and when that's been up on, some of the comments on that, it just shows how dumb people are. The best one, and I love this, and you can only laugh when they're this stupid, is this guy put up, I can't believe you took that marlin out of the safety of the estuary and dragged it into the ocean where there are sharks. My God, you gotta laugh. And do you know what? You just ignore it, because a lot of them are angry, and sometimes too with your trolls, is it's nothing to do with you or has anything to do with you. They've had a fight with their missus, you've triggered something, so they have a go at you. They don't even mean what they say half the time, or they don't even understand what they say.
And there's an anonymity there that
make them they never have the guts to say it to your face.
All right. But I suppose one of the ones that was negative that came back and steered you in a very positive direction was definitely when the guy told you if you didn't take a photo of it, it doesn't count.
Oh, yeah.
That was a massive...
Well, that wasn't even online. That was in person.
Yeah.
Well, that's even before trolls.
Yeah, well and truly.
He was trolling the boat ramp. But yeah, that stirred it on and went, what do you mean? I can't... We caught 2 fish. Right, I'm going to get photos of it. And that actually really kicked it off.
Yeah. All right, so Team Scratchy asked, at what age did your passion for fishing start, and do you have any qualifications in the marine or fishing industry? Which you kind of touched on, but clarify.
Yeah, so that's it. So I've always fished all my life. So hunting and fishing pretty much since I was born, with the old man. Took us out, and it's just been something that brother and I still do it to this day. And it sort of just evolved that, like I said, all I wanted to do was I just wanted to go fishing, and I made my job around my passion, which now has become a trend. When I started, no one was doing it. It was the opposite way around, that you had to go and do a job and then do it in your spare time, and I made a job that you couldn't have at the time. But that's purely driven by passion. coppers are flying past now. You haven't done anything, have you?
No.
So do I have any qualifications? Do you know what? That's a really interesting one. So I was going to do my coxswains and all that sort of stuff, and I went, you know what? One of the things is you don't want to become elitist above everyone else. So I actually never did it. So I've got all the hours and all those sort of things, but I thought I'd have it so that it was the same as everyone else. So you're not a charter skipper, because I never wanted to go down that line anyway, that you're straight, little birds fly past.
Back, sorry.
Nature is awesome. So yeah, so that side, photography, I never did a course. I never finished my marketing degree because I just went out and did it.
Got too busy with
So I reckon it's hard knocks. You just go and do it in the real world. That's what the whole thing has been. And for me, it's been the best way to do it.
Yep. It's worked.
So yeah, have I got any qualifications? Nah, just lots of experience. Just learn the hard way.
And stud muffin does not count at all. All right, Maddie ED, I think it is, or Maddie Ed. Your passion came from your father. Was it fishing or photography that gave you the urge to pursue your career further? So these are little incremental changes in what
Oh
your
yeah.
answer.
So it started with fishing. So I still love my fishing, but it's now evolved that the photography is the thing. I'm just like, oh my God, I love it.
Yeah.
If I didn't catch another marlin, I'd be happy. But if I got the best underwater shot or the best jump shot, that'd make it.
Yeah.
So it's evolved from one to the other. And also, the thing I love about photography and filming, or video I suppose, is that you get to show people what you see. So you know, when I remember in the early days, and it was one of those inspirations that people are like, oh, so how do you, you know, what do you mean that marlin came up? Because you know, when people hang them up, they're just grey and dead and they look horrible. You know, it's like, that's not the fish we caught.
Doesn't show the
Doesn't
true-
show.
Yeah.
So you go, oh man, I had this blue marlin coming up. He was lit up. He's smashing it, bang, exploding, and then people are like, oh yeah. Now you get the photo. They go, oh wow, that's it. So
And an awareness where a lot of people out there, those who are in the game fishing, think nothing of seeing another marlin, but those who aren't still are blown away by the beauty of them. So
yeah,
nice to actually show them the full beauty.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, Stretch Black. How do I get a job like yours? One of the key questions that comes
My
up
God,
all the time.
that has been asked, I reckon, every day for a decade. So how do you get a job like mine? You don't need qualifications. You need passion, and you need to be humble and expect that it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
So everyone goes, oh
Realistic.
my God, you're an overnight success, but you'd be 10 years of hard, and it still is hard. Like, it goes up and down, it fluctuates,
And I know you've said before, to get a job like yours, you have to be prepared to have 10 years of getting absolutely nothing back from the job, just hard slog into the job.
Yep, and you just keep going. Even now, you still sometimes, you know, wonder, why am I doing this? But it is the best job in the world. The only problem is it's changed. So when I did it, it was the magazines that was the stepping stone, and then it built to books and TV and radio. Now, you know, producing my own series and documentary maker and all those sort of things. But it built. And the one thing is, the passion has I've never lost the passion the whole time it's been there. Like today, I still want to go bloody fishing. I could have a quick
So
cast.
we'll stay on track and get this done quickly. All right. So Nick Morton said,
Nick.
You know Nick?
Ozcut, yeah.
Okay.
He's got a job almost as good as mine. In fact,
Well, that explains the comment then. He said, Dunno, I reckon my job gives yours a nudge. How good is doing what you're passionate about? Which leads on nicely from what you were just
that's
saying.
exactly it. So Nick does Ozcut, which is a mad keen bow hunter, a bloody good one at it too. And he's now importing and making his own broadheads. I think he's doing arrows and stuff now and building his own little business. But same thing, he's a mad keen bow hunter, and he's now built his business. Same thing, you built it around it, so you get to do it every day. And that's the key. So whatever, and it's not just fishing, it's hunting, it's diving, whatever you want, it's finding your niche around that. And the key is, and if you ask Nick, I guarantee at 9 o'clock every night, he's still bloody working it. You know,
Sounds familiar.
morning at 6 a.m. he's up and, well, it wasn't 6 a.m. this morning, but you know, he's up and working at the same thing. You work 24/7, there's not a day off. So these people go, oh, I have the weekend off or I do this. It's like, no, you don't. You work every single day, all day. Good call, Nick. And I don't know who's got the
Keep
better
doing
job.
what you love doing, Rick.
Yeah.